We start with Carlton in the midst of a review, a damaging loss on the weekend. How have things moved since the weekend?
Well, I think in a sense it's a damaging loss that probably has done a few favours, in a bizarre sense, to the football club, and maybe has made it easier for Luke Sayers and Kane Liddell to make the decision I believe that they probably will make at the end of the year on the coach David Teague. Everyone's saying the review is going to wrap up, I think, in the next week. I think it'll go a little bit longer than that, and that tells me that I think David Teague will coach to the end of the year. That is my belief at the moment, and I'm not confident though that I'm not certain he'll be gone next year, but I'm not confident he'll be there next year. Jeff Walsh is back at the club today. He's sat in, of course, on some of those meetings that have been going on. He's been there at all of the meetings. Graham Lowe has gone back to New Zealand. He went back about a week ago, but is continuing to take part in the review via Zoom. I spoke last week about the fact that Matthew Pavlich, I think, spoke to Shane O'Sullivan because there were some conflicts there with Jeff Walsh, but I don't feel confident about... Certainly the coach, I think, is in a bit of trouble, and other footy department staffers as well.
The review's on everyone though, isn't it? It's on the coach, it's on the head of fitness, we've heard him link to it today, on
head
the
of
footy
football,
department, recruiting.
It's assistant coaches, and we know one assistant coach has already gone. But as I said, Luke Sayers, they know now they chose this coach on a whim. You know, it was player-led, it was past player-led. You know, he made that great speech at the players' the dinner they had at Crown or Marvel or wherever it was, and it was highly emotional. He'd done well. It was a tonic, I suppose, to Brendan Bolton, who they felt was too insular, too defensive. I just think now that they think it's time for a change, and I do believe that that will happen at the end of the season.
I want to get Kane's view on this. He was strong yesterday on the Sunday Footy Show as well. But first, David Teague's comments before we get to Kane. After the game, he remains positive about where this group can go.
I have absolute belief in this group. I think there's a lot more. I think we've seen some growth over the last period, and today was really disappointing because it didn't follow that trend. So that hurts. It hurts the playing group, the coaching staff, our fans. We've got some work to do. We're not good enough yet, clearly, and that's why we're not playing finals. But going forward, this group will play finals. I'm very confident of that.
Yeah, so I think the issue for David Teague is upon expectation of the club, through their own words, they've been tracking to improve. So they went 16th, 11th. That was supposed to continue on. And from the club's view, they said a premiership within the next 3 years. Well, it's not happening this year. It leaves 2 years. And the way that they're playing and the way that the group refuses to buy into really important aspects of AFL football has me extremely concerned for David Teague. And I agree, Caro, been around footy long enough, you know this is only ending one way.
And David speaks there around we will play finals, I'm confident of that. But unfortunately, how can you be confident in what Carlton are doing? That's the issue for them. How much confidence have you got? You can see the evolution of teams growing. What was in David's favour before the weekend was that they were beating all the sides around them and below them, and just weren't good enough to beat the sides above them. Well, the way they lost to North Melbourne was really damning, and they've got St Kilda, the Gold Coast, Port Adelaide,
a lot of injuries
and GWS.
At the same time. They've got 17 out at the moment.
Yeah, they have, but I think a lot of other teams have injuries, and it's the way you play, Hutchie, the style of play.
Are you leaning towards change?
What I'm leaning towards is, could they say, with our full squad available, could we have someone that could improve our list more than David Teague? And I put this list together around some experienced coaches because it was Brendan Bolton and it was David Teague. And
you think it's a senior coach or don't change?
I'm thinking, more a senior experienced coach. And I look at Brad Scott and I look at Don Pike, and they probably exude a fair bit of confidence in me that they could improve. Petreski-Seaton doesn't play for his life, I don't think. You know, I don't see Cripps play for his life, and he's the captain. So I think that's where they lack in intensity, which doesn't allow them to perform at a good enough level.
And there's before we get to Kane, there's one big name missing on that list, which we'll deal with very soon on the show.
His initials are Alistair Clarkson.
Kane, your view on some of the senior players as well?
Yeah, well, we followed Patrick Cripps' form closely, and his drop-off over not just 2, 3, 4 weeks, over 2 years has been significant as we look at his numbers. So there's the on-field aspect of Patrick Cripps. We know he's struggling, and there's questions whether the game has sort of moved past his style. Well, they're going to have to find a way because he just signed for 6 years. But then I'm interested in
the questions
the
are mainly from you, Kane. Are you saying that?
Yeah, absolutely I am, Hutchie. I've said it how many times on this program? I've said it repeatedly. So then there's the leadership. So he's celebrating a goal there with 3 seconds left when he has just lost to the 18th place team, one that could potentially cost his coach his career. So he's got a decision to make. Do I want to be a player who's happy with a 27% win-loss record, or do I want to be the guy to lead this club on field out of this mess? I'm not sure the answer to that, because there's one waiting, and Sam Walsh, and we guarantee that he wants to, and he wants to lead the club out of.
I think he
Does
showed he
Patrick
wants to
Cripps
lead
want to
them
be
out
that guy?
by his contract commitment, didn't he? Like he's chips in on where they're going.
Yeah, he chips in from that perspective, but what sort of leader is he going to be? Is he one that wants to celebrate goals with 18 seconds to go? Is he about stats? I don't know the answer. Only he can answer that. But from what I've seen, he's too focused on what he's doing individually and not what the group is doing. Because right now, his win-loss is 27%. How are we going to remember Patrick Cripps if his career ended now? Not favourably in terms of what the Carlton greats that have walked through the club before him.
Do you agree with that?
I think he needs to look at his game, and what he is an ultra professional. So he will try and leave no stone unturned to get the best out of himself. But I am questioning where he fits within the game. And is it a different game to what made him the superstar a number of years ago? These bodies let him down, but he has to look at aspects. He's tried getting heavier. He's tried getting lighter. So I think he has tried things, but unfortunately he can't get back to his best.
But there's no suggestion he's happy with being a 27% captain. I mean, no one wants that, and he's such a competitor.
But he and David
got 6 years to work it out. So
need to be ultra aggressive with the playing group to demand more. I just want to show some on-field. I know it's been seen a fair bit, their on-field efforts over the weekend. Full credit to North. But this is Cripps. He's got to stick this tackle. When you don't stick these tackles, this is what happens. I look at this, the ball overlap. Does Curnow and Dow want to commit to Simpkin? I don't think that's strong enough. And what happens is, next minute, Sard has to come up. And I've never seen an 18th team move the ball as slickly as the Roos did on the weekend. This was in a quarter where they kicked 7 goals to 4 behinds. And one more little clip, Caro, which would be damning if you were Luke Sayers watching. 3 men guarding the one player. What happens? The ball just gets popped over the top through the corridor, and they are away again. So it was an error. I thought they did quite well against the Pies last week, but that was as poor a defensive game as you would have imagined.
So we've talked about the footy, the footballers, the coaches, the footy staff. I just want to say one more time, Luke Sayers has been at that club since 2012. So is Craig Matheson, another leader on that board apparently. We know Mark Lejudice is stepping down. They need to get this right, because that board are the ones who made a lot of the bad decisions over the last 9 years, and they need to be held accountable. It's not good enough.